Michael Bay produced these films, and in a lot of people's eyes, he ruined something that could have been great. In this version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they are all science experiments. They're all born in a lab, including Splinter, who is also a lab rat. Now, in this version, April's father works in the lab also. He's one of the scientists, and April is responsible for naming the turtles in this movie. Splinter and the turtles are also mutated in the lab. A fire breaks loose in the lab, but luckily April saves Splinter and the turtles, and they find their way outside into the street, where April lets them go, and they find their way into the sewers, where they mutate further and grow into the Ninja Turtles that we know. Well, I say that, they're not exactly like we know. This version is a little bit different. Years later, the Foot Clan and the Shredder start terrorizing New York City, and the Turtles decide to rise to street level to fight the crime, and then they once again meet the girl who named them all, April. Now, if you've been listening to the previous episodes, you'll know that even some of the worst Ninja Turtle films that we've had, I've tried to show a bit of positivity in it as well, and try and talk about some of the good things that I enjoyed about it. But this film was a little bit more trickier for me. It just had too many elements that I weren't really happy with. So here's a few things that I dislike about the movie. The turtles are far too big. They are like hulking monsters. I mean, there are a few scenes where they just smash into the side of cars and tip the cars over. They're that strong. They now also seem to be bulletproof. I had a massive problem with this. The design looks a little bit ridiculous also. They have been given turtle nostrils, and I can appreciate that they were going for realism when designing the turtles, but it just doesn't look right. Also, Splinter's design looks really strange, and for some reason he constantly looks wet. That's the best way I can describe it. He looks wet. And then we have Shredder in this movie. It was like a huge transformer, one of the robots out of Michael Bay's other films. I mean, Shredder's technically in a big mech suit. I mean, I suppose he's got to pose some kind of threat to the Ninja Turtles, seeing as they're designed as these big hulking creatures now, but I just didn't like this design. And then there's the source material, the comic books. They just seem to be completely disposed of. It gives no personal vendetta between Shredder and the Splinter and Turtles, and the actual story that they come up with, the vendetta between the Turtles and Shredder, just seems really forced and out of place, like it had no place in this movie. Megan Fox as April, that's all I've got to say about that. And then we have the way that the Turtles learn ninjutsu. Splinter teaches the Turtles ninjutsu by finding a self-teaching book in the sewers, and they all become martial arts masters. Absolutely terrible. Absolute terrible film, terrible plot. Everything about it is just awful. The Foot Clan in this movie show no martial arts training whatsoever. They actually just use machine guns. They're more like soldiers. And when the Turtles actually start to fight the Foot Clan, there doesn't feel like there's any real threat or any challenge. You know that the Ninja Turtles are not going to have a problem getting these foot soldiers down, seeing as they're twice the size of them and twice the size in width, and they're bulletproof. But then if you cast your minds back to my favourite movie, the original 1990 Jim Henson Ninja Turtles, at least you felt there was some danger for the Turtles. I mean, Raphael got the snot kicked out of him by the Foot in that movie. You felt like there was some kind of threat, some kind of challenge whenever they went up against the Foot Clan. And I've got to say, as bad as the Michael Bay movies were, I must be grateful that we didn't get the initial script for this, an early draft. And in this script, the Turtles were meant to be aliens from Dimension X. So I'm just so glad they didn't go with that, because it would have made this film, which is already awful, 10 times worse. Karai also appears in this movie, but poses no threat whatsoever. And she's also given absolutely no backstory. She's got no character whatsoever. She's just there. And like I said, I've got nothing nice to say about this film. I'm sorry, I just haven't. I mean, after waiting so long to get a live action version of the Ninja Turtles, I mean, we've been waiting since the 1990s, and then we get this trash, in my opinion.